Let's take a look at the painting called Guernica by Pablo Picasso. It's a really large painting, 8 meters wide and over 3 meters tall. It's an oil painting on canvas about the size of a mural, really, and was made in 1937. Now, this is the only information you would get if you went to a gallery, if you've never seen the artwork before. This is what you would be able to gain from the little tag displayed next to the artwork. And it doesn't really help you that much, does it? So that's why a lot of people, when they're faced with an artwork that looks a bit different, they sort of look at it and go, gee, what's going on? It looks so weird. And if I had to ask you what feeling you get from this artwork when you look at it, I suppose most of you would say, well, it's freaky, it's weird, it's upsetting, and it looks chaotic. And you'd be correct. All right, so to take a close look by actually looking at the images, the visual clues in the artwork. So what we can see on the left-hand side is a lady and a baby. This woman and baby is very easy to interpret. The woman looks very, very upset. Her head is turned up towards the sky. Her mouth is open. Her tongue is in a triangular shape, sort of like a sword or a scream. And her eyes look like they're teardrops. In her arms is a little baby, and the baby looks pretty much dead. And you can tell it's pretty much dead by the lifeless position. Well, it's just the angle of the baby's head is a bit strange. And it's an upsetting image, and we can all understand that one. Underneath this lady, at the bottom of the picture, you can see a man he's pretty broken up. It's a head that's been decapitated or severed off or blown off with an arm. And then just further a bit away, there's the other arm. And the other arm is also broken off. You can see the marrow bone inside the arm. It's pretty great. And you can see that he's clutching a broken sword. Now, the combination of the lady and the baby and this man lying down at the bottom tells us basically that something violent has happened, something awful. It's either been a battle scene or just really something violent has taken place, and it's not great, and the artist is obviously not happy about it. If we have a look at the other woman more towards the right hand side at the bottom, she is leaning in towards the light, stretching her body, and her back leg goes right up against the far corner of the painting. That back leg looks pretty messed up. I mean, it's been injured, I think, or it's just rooted there. So this could either mean that she's been injured in some sort of an attack and she can't move even though she's desperately stretching to try and get away, or that she's actually frozen in fear. Above her is the lady with outstretched arms, and she's also screaming. Close by to her are some white triangular shapes that we could take a guess at what they could be. And further on we can see a ghostly head coming out through a window and an arm holding a lantern, like a little lamp. There's a screaming horse that looks like it's very distressed. There's a very weird light at the top of the painting. It's an electric light bulb. And then it's drawn in a shape, the outside, the surrounding shape around the light bulb, or the lamp light, as it were, is in the shape of a human eye, which is quite strange. And then there's these bursts coming out of it, also triangular shapes. So it's even like the light is angry. And then there's a bull. Okay. So we have a look at these things, and that the imagery in this artwork gives us a clue as to what's going on. So we can see that basically something awful has happened, and the artist is trying to tell us about this event through the artwork. We don't quite know what it is, but we can see that there are a lot of women, that they are children. This is the little baby anyway. So they're children, women, and animals, and they're all terrified. Some of them are injured, and they're trying to flee. There are all sorts of different angles and movements, which kind of leads you to the fact that possibly there's a bit of chaos and and everybody is just in a bit of a panic. The man at the bottom cannot defend anybody. He is pretty much chopped up and his sword is broken. So that's what we can gather from looking at the artwork. So what we would need to do then next, after you've taken a look at the artwork, you've got a feeling for what the artist is giving you with the work, and you've taken a look at the actual imagery that you can see. And if you still don't know exactly what the artwork is about, then you need to look at when the artwork was made and at the artist who made the work. So if we have a look at the artist, it's Pablo Picasso. He is a Spanish man, and he worked as in the Cubist style. And the Cubist style involved simplifying images and showing different angles of the image on the same flat side. And the overall effect of that just looks rather distorted. Now, when you look at Spain around 1937, when this artwork was painted, you will learn that the country was going through a terrible civil war. Spain had been through the First World War, then the Spanish flu, and the Great Depression, and now was going through a civil war. So we think our lives are bad here. They were going through quite a bad patch. The nationalist rebels under General Franco, who was a fascist, wanted to take over Spain. And civil war broke out between the Republican government, who was in charge at the time, and they were against fascism, and the nationalist rebels under Franco. Now, Franco got support from Hitler in Nazi Germany and Mussolini in fascist Italy. His allies sent over troops and bomber aircraft to help him take over the country. Hitler was actually assuming that after Franco was in power, that he'd be a very good ally to have at the start of the Second World War. An attack on the very small town of Guernica in the north of Spain was launched supposedly to blow up an important bridge in the town, which was used by the Republicans to transport supplies. But the 3-hour air raid attack also involved squadrons of fighter planes which mowed down the victims as they tried to flee the fighter jets firing upon the civilians with machine gun fire. Now, the civilians were mainly women, children, and elderly people, as the able-bodied men had already left the town to go and fight in the Civil War. Pablo Picasso was living in Paris at the time and heard about the shocking event by reading about it in newspapers. He began working on the large painting of Guernica straight away, taking only 35 days to complete it. It's now the most famous anti-war painting ever made. Now, remember what you felt when you first saw this artwork. Compare that to how you see it now that you know so much more about it. I hope you can appreciate that it is a really good example of an anti-war and anti-violence artwork, and that was the intention the artist had when he made it.